We actually attract who we are. We get a person in our love relationships that is commensurate with the healing that we have done. Who you are is who you're going to attract in love. And hear me out when I say this, that if you haven't done a lot of healing and you're just kind of looking for a person to have companionship with, a warm body to lay next to, then that's exactly what you're going to get. If you're looking for a fully actualized relationship where they've done their healing work and they're self-aware, they know their traumas and triggers, they've worked through them, then you need to do that yourself first. As I detailed pretty heavily in my last video, but I turned on the AC, and so the AC was blaring into the microphone. So I'm recreating this video for this commenter because I think what I have to say about this, about relationships, is so important and it's on point. In fact, I wrote a whole book, Divine Union in 14 Days, teaching the feminine how to heal and how to face her traumas and triggers so that she can attract a divine masculine. Because you're not going to attract a divine masculine unless you are a divine feminine. And what that means is you've integrated. You have faced your shadows, you've faced your traumas and triggers, and you've healed yourself. You've been the one that you've been looking outside of yourself to be. You are the one you've been waiting for, and you've shown up for yourself over and over again, and you've healed. And as a result, you're going to attract and call in a masculine who's done the same. And if you're a divine feminine, you don't want anything less than that. It is what you deserve, and it's quite literally what our earth needs to ascend into the 5D, to become the new earth. We need divine union. So how you do that is heal and spend some time alone. Spend some time by yourself. Spend some time pouring into yourself, figuring out what you like, cultivating your interests, tending to yourself the way that you would tend to a small child. And I've just seen time and time again too many relationships where people didn't do the healing and they got exactly who they were. So let me give you some examples. If you're a feminine who has never done work on yourself, meaning you haven't faced why you've attracted certain patterns, let's say you were mistreated in a relationship. Totally not your fault. Let's say you were abused in a relationship. Totally not your fault. However, you need to look at the patterns or the things that you carry within your psyche that allowed that, that felt like that was normal, that felt like home when you were being mistreated, that put up with it, that stayed for far too long. There are parts of your psyche that are unhealed that allowed that. And all I'm asking that you do is look into those things and then give to yourself what you've been looking to another person to give you as far as healing and comfort and safety goes. So if you're somebody who's never done that and you've tolerated poor treatment and you're in a victim mentality, meaning you've never looked at yourself and you're constantly pointing the fingers at the person who did it to you, your parents, every person around you but yourself, you're in a victim mentality. So you're going to attract a masculine who's in a victim mentality. What does that look like? He's never taken responsibility for the ways that he hurt others. He's never taken responsibility for his poor patterns. He's never looked at himself. He's always looked at everybody outside of himself to make him feel validated and to make him feel whole. And so what he does now when you are together is play the victim, constantly look to you to manage his emotions. He looks to everybody to manage his emotions. He doesn't know how to manage his emotions. And so you're in your masculine now, constantly trying to make him feel safe, constantly fighting his battles, constantly trying to validate him because he has not done the work to stand on business as to where he messed up and where his relationships failed him and why certain things happened in his relationships that hurt him. He's taken zero responsibility. So you're now in your masculine hustling and trying to make him feel okay and make him feel safe. So when you're in a victim mentality, you will attract somebody else who's in a victim mentality. Another example of this is, let's say that you're a feminine and you've never poured into yourself and tried to really build yourself up and really tend to those small parts of you that have been damaged, that feel insecure. I'm not talking about your ego trips, okay? I'm not talking about you going out at night with the girls and getting a lot of male attention and then now you feel good about yourself. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real healing work where you've looked at your negative self-talk, you've looked at the damage that was done when you were small by caregivers, and you've now tended to the broken, insecure parts of yourself, and you've really risen in your self-worth. Okay, if you haven't done that and you're still looking for outside validation, you're not choosing yourself, you're not choosing partners that are consistent, that are safe, and you're constantly putting yourself in like these situations where people aren't choosing you and where they're mistreating you and they're not giving you the dignity that you deserve, it's because you're not giving it to yourself. You've never given it to yourself. So now you're attracting partners that don't choose you. You're attracting partners that choose other people. You're attracting partners that aren't consistent emotionally. They don't provide safety. They're not choosing you and they're not choosing your safety because you're not doing that for yourself. So if you're in an unhappy relationship, if you're in a relationship where you're not chosen, if you're in a relationship where you're constantly wondering or feeling like you have to hustle for your worth, you need to do some deep dives in your own psyche and your own healing and recognize where you're doing that to yourself. If you're in a relationship where you're constantly having to be the masculine and you're having to like cater and coddle a man because he's in a victim mentality, it's because you're in a victim mentality and you haven't looked at the ways that you contributed to the hardship in your life or the way people treated you, or I'm not even victim blaming here, how you tolerated poor behavior. What is it about you that doesn't feel like you deserve better? Like, it's all about going deeper, because when you actually heal and you choose yourself, you meet somebody who is commensurate with that. So what that means is you're not down here in the survivalism of victim mentality and the muck and the mire of being a victim, okay? Because then you're always trying to wade yourself out of the mud. But when you've healed and you've been alone, you're up here. Your self-worth, your dignity, your inspiration, your actualization is up here. So you meet somebody else up here. So then what that means is you both together continue to rise and rise and rise and rise. You're already flying when you meet each other, but when you finally can be together and heal even deeper and provide even more safety and love, now the sky's the limit. And I think it's really interesting because during that whole video, my air conditioner was on. So apparently this commenter needs to hear air in her ear or in their ear to really get what I'm saying.